Welcome to the Gabe Gallucci Golf Show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gabe Gallucci Golf Show. And Dave is in the building. The boys are back.
It's been a minute. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, dude, it feels good. You know what? It's been a long time since we put an episode together. A lot of life has happened. How are you?
I am doing well. Summer is here. Golf game is in full swing. Got some rounds under my belt. How about you?
You've been playing a lot. Let's just talk about you for a second. You've been getting a good amount of reps, and you've been getting some range sessions. Like, this is, again, I say a lot within context of the past couple of years of work killing your ability to golf. So
yeah, you've
actually been able to get a decent amount of rounds in.
I've been getting to the range 2 or 3 times a week, and then was up in Kelowna for a golf holiday. Played 4 rounds up there. Had a tidy 71 up there, which I was pretty happy with. So yeah.
Which was that on Predator?
Predator, yeah.
Predator
course at Predator Ridge.
Yeah, so that's apparently a very legit course. I've yet to play it, but I've heard it's spicy. So it's a good score for you.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of we have some bag updates too. We'll get into
a few.
We have a lot. Yeah. We have a lot to recap. You know what, guys? I got quite a few messages, but when the podcast was going to return, I appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with me and my little hiatus. If you guys listened to the last pod before I kind of took the break, and I said big changes are coming. Big changes are underway. And I'm excited to kind of bring you guys up to speed on what's happened in the last 60 days or so. Man, it feels like so much has changed and so much has kind of evolved. And so I'm excited to kind of bring you guys a little behind the curtain. And then we've got, go ahead.
I know we're going to get into it, and we'll talk about the whole transition and where your swing is at. I would like to preface this, and maybe I'm like leading with the nugget at the end, but your swing in the last 2 months I have noticed more improvement and more of a difference in 2 months than I have in 2 years. And I think it's going to be exciting for the listeners. And if anyone watches your YouTube channel, they'll see kind of the swing transition that you've gone through. But watch Gabe swing in April and March and the content he was posting, and watch it now. And to me, it's night and day. Like it's building on a tour quality swing that can compete. And it's been fun, as you and I, obviously we've been chatting outside of the pod, but it's been fun to watch the last couple of months for you.
Well, thanks, bro. You've had to deal with the madness of all the swing volatility. So I appreciate it. And let's jump into the swing now. Let's jump into that. Cause that's kind of the reason why the podcast took a bit of a break. Is just the past two months or so have just been an absolute grind sesh. It's almost like another off season in a way of making these changes. So one thing, I'm glad you see it. And cause you've seen kind of every iteration of my swing and the hurdles of trying to find a swing that can get me around the golf course aligned with my goals. And I think that's one of the things that, like, I don't know if I've maybe made this clear and just kind of giving a bit of a North Star is that, like, I'm, trying to find the right swing for me has never been a case of like trying to tinker and search for perfectionism. It's more of like, I know the caliber of golf I need to play in order to reach my goal. And so it's finding that workflow that's going to be able to get me around the golf course through 72 holes. And I've had different swings that could hold up under 1836, maybe 54. But I don't think I've ever had anything that was able to withstand a real golf tournament, right? And there were cracks. Like, it was almost like a certain part of my game would be really good. Like in the wintertime, I felt like my iron accuracy got pretty good, but the way I had developed that matchup, driver and wedges really took a dive. And so then, okay, it's like there was always like, I would find these different pockets and directions where one thing would kind of work and I would end up finding a way to score with it. But then another part, because of, I guess, there were fundamental flaws in the machine, that something would crumble, right? And that would be kind of the devastating thing. And I think you guys have seen this cycle through my content where I hit these kind of highs and lows, and I'll make a bunch of content. It'll look like I'm about to start scoring and do really well. And then all of a sudden it's like, what happens, right? And what I've learned kind of now taking this new approach and rebuilding the swing in, in a very pro direction is that there were some fundamental flaws in my basics, in my structure, my connection, and in my leg work that had just never been addressed. That now, having addressed it, what I'm seeing is finally translation throughout the bag, where my scoring still hasn't clicked in yet, but I know my form and function is trending in the right direction. So that's been the most interesting thing. And I think that's what kind of you're saying about seeing the evolution of the swing is that like I'm hitting the center of the face now differently than I've ever hit the center of the face.
What I noticed though too, like if I may, is like I think your swing is much less timing specific. So for a long time, like if everything was syncing and you were like you timed everything perfectly, it was great. But your swing relied on that perfect timing. And I think what's happened in the last 60 days is you've now built a swing that doesn't rely on perfect timing, that can hold up under pressure, that like if you're having an off day, it's still playable. So like your bad day isn't an 85 anymore, right? Like it's
well, my bad day is very much an 85 right now.
You know what I mean?
Well, part of that too, though. So but 100%, and I think we're going to get there. What's happening too is I'm switching to more of a draw-based action with basically everything up to 4-iron. Mm-hmm. So kind of going back to the timing thing, I didn't realize how fundamentally flawed my swing was in terms of structure, and I'm talking in terms of arm structure. I'm talking in terms of connection as well. So at the top of the swing, how separated my kind of bottom of my tricep was from my lat, and then how deficient my hips were, and how many obstacles, and so not turning correctly on the backswing. And these were all things that I was unaware of. And so Ryan Hawley and I have been working on the swing for the last 60 days, and just kind of going through this almost from a ground level, like rebuilding it from, what is a pro player action. And it's been very interesting how simplistic the changes have been, but also how glaring some of the things I was doing were. Like, it's, so obvious. It's like, oh man, how did I not see this? Right? How did I not? And simple things like and going back to kind of structure and connection, right? Like how narrow I was getting, and even when I thought I was wide, I was so narrow. And
can you talk about, like, for the listener, talk about that? Like, what do you mean when you say, like, we've talked about, but what do you mean when you say arm connection?
Yeah. So if we were talking about structure, right? So one of the things is maintaining, I guess, like a triangle between if you're at setup, right? Mm-hmm. Maintaining that triangle between your chest all the way down to the grip, right? Yep. I would collapse that triangle almost immediately. And then I would get very narrow at the top, and then as I would come down, I would throw my arms and get wide. And that's how but at the top I was very narrow. And if you look at my hands, right? If you looked at my backswing, my hands were like just above my shoulder. They weren't high, like my hands weren't high, And then I was also taking the club back very inside. Right. So now I'm creating this very weird loop. But again, I didn't know it. I didn't know it, and I didn't see it, right? And I was getting decent results. I've always hit it decently long. So I was always confused, right? So like a very, very simple thing. So I basically practice with one of those smart balls between my arms every day for about 40 days straight of my 200 half swings. I was doing the 200 full swings with a ball between my arms. And it took a while to get that motion to feel comfortable so that I wasn't throwing my arms. Then in terms of connection, putting a head cover underneath the right armpit. Right?
Okay.
So now you have you have the structure, but then you also have the connection.
Yeah.
Because that is also a big part, right? And so then all of a sudden my backswing just cleaned right up. I'm taking the club outside of my hands. It's not filleting inside anymore. Taking the club outside of my hands. My structure looks good at the top, and I was coming down. And I had a couple and I had some early success at the very beginning when I started to make some of those changes. But then once I started fixing those things more and got better, then it exposed my hips and my leg work. And I was turning them properly, pivoting the wrong way, and not firing.
Yeah.
And so in the last week, what's been wild is if you look at my most recent hole vlogs on my Instagram, that's probably the best place to go. If you look at the last couple like hole vlogs, I just posted one. This is Canada Day. We're recording this. So I posted one today. You'll see there's just a very big difference in terms of the plane of my swing now, and also how I'm opening and pushing through impact. Because I also felt that my ball speed numbers have never been, I think, what I think they could be relative to how athletic I am. And I was always frustrated, like, why? Like, I hit it far, but I'm working really hard to try and hit it the distance I hit. What's interesting now is that I feel like my tempo is cleaned up because my economy of motion is so much better, right? Like my efficiency of how I turn, there's just all these things that I was kind of banging my head over the past little bit, like trying to figure out like, why am I just not there? Like, why am I struggling so much? Yeah. And now with the swing, I see very much a path because I can see the data. I see it on video. Ryan very much like can affirm that we are moving in the right direction. So that has been very interesting because it's like, though my scoring isn't what it is, and I made a video on Instagram the other day too talking about this of like, I am not good scoring right now because I'm also adjusting to now with the way my swing is set up, I'm basically drawing everything up to a 4-iron. It's draws. The mistake I was making was that I was still trying to hit some fades, and my matchups now are just not set up for that. And so I was trying to kind of play a bit of my old game, but the reason why I was also the way I used to hit fades was I was very like I would spin out of a fade, and so now like a lot of what I previously am doing, I can't do that anymore, right? So I'm shedding that kind of weight. So I've had some pretty significant blowups as a result, but I'm now starting to see that ability on the course where I can commit to a draw, and also I'm starting to see a draw more. I for the past couple of years, I've basically been exclusively a fader, and I would never hit draws. So it's also taken a bit to adjust my eye line and my aim to get used to hitting draws, and also trusting a draw, and also hitting a draw the right way. Because whenever I would hit a draw historically, because I would get really narrow and throw my hands, that's why I could never play a draw before, because I was so narrow. I was throwing my hands at it. The timing would work. Maybe I could use a draw maybe off the tee if I had a wide fairway, but I would never hit a draw with anything longer than maybe a 9-iron because there was just too much curve to it, right?
Right.
Versus now I'm hitting a draw with good face-to-path relationships, and I'm not hitting a draw with a 7-iron with a 7 into out path, right? Yeah. Which is historically what I would have been. Yeah. My path is now, it probably doesn't get higher than a degree and a half when last time I was on quad last week.
Nice.
So it's cool. And so all of this now, like knowing, and I've talked about this before, like the more you know, I think like that just helps the mental game so much. Like, yeah, my scoring is trash right now because I'm trying to relearn almost a lot of things, but I've never been so optimistic because I'm hitting the ball now I feel like an athlete. Like driver now, I feel like I am using my whole body. And I've been doing workouts with Matt, my new trainer. And I'd kind of talked about this, and the big changes are coming, and I needed to bring in some different experts. And I'd been training myself, but I'd missed some things, and we did a TPI assessment, and I didn't realize how bad my hips were still, which is funny because my hips feel so much better now than how they used to, but they're still kind of locked up. So I wasn't utilizing my hips as nearly as much as I need to be for a pro level swing, which is also leading to some of my issues with kind of dispersion because I wasn't properly rotating. I wasn't internally rotating on the backswing the right way. And it's been wild. The learning curve has been wild, but it's been really, really cool. And I'm going to figure this out. Like I feel like I'm on the right path. And it's gonna come together. I don't know when it's all gonna come together, but I know that the things I'm practicing and the things I'm working on now are tangibly the right things, and I know that. And I know that now. I think I've said that before, but then I've always felt like then I hit these walls where because I'm scoring good. I feel like, well, if I'm scoring good, then everything else must be fine. But then I would hit a wall of like, well, then I can't hit a wedge inside 50 yards. Well, that we have a significant fundamental flaw here if that's the case. Or I would still have, these spinny wipeout drivers. Whereas now I don't think I've hit the center of the face more with driver than I have in the past probably 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the long and the short of the swing. But I'm going to do a full video on the swing evolution once it's fully baked in and I'm scoring. Because there are still things we're implementing week over week. Every week there's like a new change that we implement. So it kind of, I kind of knock off one thing, and then once that's locked in, we go to the next thing. We're like chipping away at it. So until we get to that point where it's like, it's locked in, then I will do like a post-mortem of how we got there. But
nice.
This is where we're at. And I feel like if you see the videos, it's pretty obvious now, the differences. And that's kind of what
very noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's good. I feel less fear.
Nice.
Now, which is interesting. I feel less fear with it because it's interesting. So I'm excited. This is just another evolution in the journey, but in the interim, I think what's also fun is it's now freed me up to make a lot more content. I'm gonna be kind of being better at making content and having more fun with it. Because a lot of my issues before with making content and kind of like being better at documenting this journey was this fear that I was like, man, the swing is not working. Like, what is I need to work harder. I'm doing something wrong. And so that fear of not knowing how I'm going to figure it out was kind of overriding my ability to create and my ability to kind of maybe have fun. And now I kind of have let that go because I know I'm on the right path. So it's very much okay, I just have to trust this path, keep putting in the reps every day. You've kind of told me too, and because I've had a couple of days where it's been like, man, like, it's been tough, but kind of seeing it through.
We talked you off the ledge a couple times.
Yeah. Well, but it's good. Like I just now I feel very comfortable in the fact that like I'm going to figure it out, but if I play trash in the interim, that's fine. But I love doing this, and I'm just really happy. So more content coming, which is great too. And I get a lot of joy from that. And I'm kind of happy to no longer have that fear of like, man, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
So the swing is good. I'm pumped.
Nice.
Now, let's talk about the bag updates over the last 2 months, Dave.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
What is going on with your bag, Gabe?
Do you want me to go first, Dave?
Your conversation, yours will be shorter. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just get me out of the way so we can go through Dave because Dave's way more fun. Okay, so going through the swing change, I also was kind of like, I needed to adjust some feels, and I kind of went through a bit of like a fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want mode, which was a lot of fun. So I put Nike VR Pro irons in bed, which are phenomenal. They feel so good. Because honestly, I've always wanted, and you know this, because I've always wanted the P7 TWs.
Yeah.
I just, there's something about them that they call to me. They sing to me at night. I can hear them.
Tiger blades.
The Tiger blades. Now, the VR Pros are essentially an earlier version of that iron, right? Like a lot of what is in that iron kind of, I think, went into the P7 TWs. So I thought, okay, you know, and with this new swing change, I also I needed to feel something different when I was at the range. The heaviness of the head on the Nikes just felt a little different. And when I'm trying to not whip the club inside, I needed something that felt heavier to make that feeling feel more drastic.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. And that was really, really good. And I played those for about a month. And my buddy Tony Lovato, he refinished them for me. I found a set for $150 that were all blades, and I combined them with my VR Pro combo so that I have the combo from like the CB from 3 and 4 iron, and then I have blades from 5 to pitching wedge.
Nice.
And they're great. I love them. Ryan has said, you know, listen, like pros don't use 10-year-old technology, and that's like, it's a fair point. Also, the lofts on them are very traditional. And I also realized I still need clubs very flat. And so I'm hesitant to bend them like as flat as they need to go just yet. So I did bend them a little bit flat. But I have gone back to the pings just recently now that I don't whip the club inside and the lightness of the club doesn't feel like such a hamper.
Yeah.
I don't love the feeling of the pings relative to the VR Pros. Like the Nikes feel so good.
Yeah.
Like, man, they're so good. They're so good. But I have some men's nights and some tournaments and stuff, and I just, you know, I'm like, with the volatility of where I'm at right now, a little more forgiveness is probably what I need. I also do need a more normal loft package because I hit the ball high already. Like I don't need help getting it in the air. And so now my 7 iron, I think the 7 iron on the VR Pro is 35 degrees and on the ping it's 32. And so I'm hitting the 7, like it's just, I'm hitting them too high even for blades. So that was a change that but I'm going to keep a fun bag. So I'm going to have like a secondary bag has the Nikes in it and it has my Ping i15 driver. And maybe I have a Nike like 3-wood and 5-wood.
Nice.
And so maybe I'll find some fun wedges to throw in there and I'm going to still have like a fun bag. And I'm not totally like dead on the P7 TWs. The thing with the pings though too is that what's funny is now fixing the technique. I don't know if I like 120 gram shaft as much because part of the reason why I
want something heavier.
Yeah. I want that. Yeah. I don't mind the feeling of heavier because I realized how much upper body I was using, which also led to me getting injured. Which is part of the reason too that I realized like the injury manifested itself was that because I wasn't using my hips properly, I was compensating so much with the upper body that my left side just got super, super tight. So it's nothing that's not fixable, but you know, it's just something that kind of reared its head and exposed itself. And so I've been managing that, and that's why I've been doing the physio and all that. But now that my tempo's cleaned up and my feel, I think is very different of what I want out of a golf club because of my motion. Like I've made my driver heavier. I added weight to my driver head because I have in the LS because I have the Rogue LS Triple Diamond.
Yeah.
I added 10 grams to the driver because I wanted to feel it heavier. And I actually need to add probably weight to my 3-wood now because the head feels a little light. The hybrid feels fine. The hybrid's always felt a little heavy, but I want to add a little bit of weight to the 3-wood too.
And you're just doing that with lead tape?
No, I have the weights.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to. I probably got to order the weights from Ping to do it to the 3-wood. But the feeling of heavy has made a big difference. And then I've moved off of the Ping wedges. I just needed a new because I just have so much PTSD from bad wedges with those. And so I put a milled grind 2 in the bag that I got for $40 out of the discount bin at Sham Golf Course, which is like a little executive course here that I play at a lot. I just went and chipped around with it one day because I was so fed up, and I really like it.
Nice.
12 degrees bounce, 56 degrees of loft, and I don't know. It just seems to work for me on just about everything. I brought the Ping back out the other day just to see, and I don't know. There's something about it I just don't like. So I've got that, and then I've got an Edel wedge as my lob wedge,
nice.
Which is very interesting. It is cool. I need to dive into this more because the Edel wedges are the way the bounce is on them. There's a lot of bounce, but the way the grind is, like you can still fillet it open. It's very cool. So
nice.
Anyway, those are my. So my bag really hasn't changed other than adding weight to the driver, and I have new wedges. And then the putter right now, the Cleveland's in the bag, but I've been testing a bunch of different putters just to see if there's a way to get like something that is just more pro. I'm actually trying left-hand low right now with the Jailbird as a potential option because of you.
I do love a left-hand low. I've putted that way since I was 18, maybe 16. And if I try to putt traditionally now, I can't even do it. It just feels so foreign.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But
so that's that's it. I don't know. That's it. That's it for now. We'll see. I think because I need clubs so flat, I probably think I'll move to X100s tour issues in the Pings. And I'll get them rebuilt. Oh, and I moved to mid-size grips.
Oh, I did not know that. When did that happen?
Actually, you know what? Okay, here's why. This is the most this might be one of the most toxic things I do. This is incredibly toxic behavior. Okay? So when I get fed up with a set of irons, I put them on Marketplace as like a test. And if they sell, then that's it. Then I know it's a sign that they're not for me anymore. Right?
Right.
So the Pings, I got them cleaned up. I put fresh grips on them, and I put them on Marketplace ready to sell. I kept getting messages, but nobody would like confirm and buy them. So I kept getting inquiries, but no one would buy them. And then it got to a point where I said, okay, if somebody doesn't buy them in the next 24 hours, I have to put them back in the bag because it's a sign that I'm supposed to stick with them. And lo and behold, that night, I got 2 offers, 2 people, and one guy was like, I can meet up with you tonight. I'm like, cool. Ends up ghosting me entirely. Another guy, same thing. I'll meet up with you tomorrow. Ends up ghosting me entirely. So the Pings went back in the bag because I said, okay, it's a sign. So I deleted the Facebook Marketplace listing, and now they're back in the bag. I think that might be extremely toxic behavior. They're the only set of irons that I've put up for sale that haven't sold.
Okay.
And so now, as a result,
you're bearing the lead, mid-size grips.
But I put mid-size grips on them because I didn't care because I was going to sell them. So I bought a set of cheap grips on Amazon so that I didn't have to pay, $110 to regrip them. Right. And these grips are great. They're mid-size, and I actually really like them.
Nice.
So anyway, I'm toxic, but it's all good. Okay, enough about me. Dave, please let everybody know your journey over the past 2 months. Let's start with the putter.
We've had a bit of a roller coaster. The putter, So as the custom ping PLD was being built and shipped to me, I happened to be up in Canada and I strolled into a golf town where I found an AI1 jailbird. And actually, I called you from the store saying, Gabe, we have a problem. I'm draining everything with this putter. So long story short, that putter's been in the bag. It's actually been great. I love it. I find with the jailbird, like the longer shaft, I'm able to be more upright. And then if I don't have a lot of grip pressure, if I just like lightly hold it, the putter just rocks itself. So I would say like, the one round I had 29 putts, which for me is amazing. I'm usually like 32 to 34. So definitely been making a lot more putts with that. So that's in the
And
bag.
you're the reason I bought the jailbird to test.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Although it didn't work out.
Well, it hasn't worked out
for
for me yet. It's not totally been. It hasn't been fired.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been.
So,
it just hasn't gotten a permanent spot yet.
Yeah. And then we did get a new driver. The ping driver is out of the bag.
Do we want to talk about the driver between the driver and the driver you have now?
No, we'll just talk about the current driver.
No, there's no in-between driver? Even though, you didn't even take a swing with that driver. And actually never even made it to shipping.
No. It never made it to shipping.
So it doesn't count?
It got canceled. So.
Okay. So there's the Ping 10K.
The Ping 10K. Ping 10K is out of the bag. Callaway AI Smoke Triple Diamond Max 9 degree.
With the stock Denali shaft.
The stock Denali shaft, 60 grams stiff right now. It's great. It's probably about, like, I noticed a ball speed jump of 5,
which was wild. That's when you told me when you went to the store to test it, when you did the head-to-head comparison.
Yeah.
It was
same driver, same balls, same day, same simulator, 5 to 7 more miles per hour.
Which is massive for you, because we did the math. It was a 21-yard carry difference because your peak was 7 miles per hour more ball speed with the Callaway at the same swing speed, which was wild.
Yeah.
Which for you, that's the difference between you being what, 240 to 260.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's game changing. It's been great, and I love it. And it's also like, it is the Triple Diamond head, but the Triple Diamond Max, they've done something to it where it has a lot of forgiveness in it. Like you can't hit it way out on the toe or the heel, but you can miss center by a reasonable amount and still have a decent result.
And the fact that you're using the stock shaft, which is interesting because you are a fan of aftermarket, like you are an aftermarket boy. That's not a shot. It's just, like you are very particular about the shafts you use. You're not very you don't really change shafts.
No, I think it's feel oriented, right? Like, so like in my irons for the longest time now, I play that Nippon 950 GH because it feels right. I can time it up. My fairway would still have the Ventus TR Red in them. I love that. But yeah, no, this stock shaft, this is a great driver, and kudos to Callaway. Like, I know it's limited edition and it's like hard to find, which is the one thing I wish Callaway would stop doing. Like, they came out with that mini driver too, and it was limited edition. And like, even if you wanted to find one these days, I don't even know if you could get one. Like, so
cool. And then you did buy something, and now it's gone. That goes right after the driver. The burner.
What did I buy? Oh yeah, that's true. We did have a mini driver.
You had a mini driver for 2 weeks, and but you realized that because you used the Sim 2 Ti 3-wood.
I use a Stealth 2 Ti 3-wood, and it's actually more versatile for me. And I still hit 3-wood from the deck a lot, and I'm actually pretty comfortable hitting 3-wood.
So the burner just wasn't. It didn't do enough for you because you couldn't get the burner as high off the deck, right? That was the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It well, and also I don't think it was that 3-wood is so hot. Like whatever TaylorMade did with those Stealth 2 3-woods, the titanium face, that it really wasn't like it's not the 3-wood's a 15 degree, and the mini driver wasn't that much further. Like it's just those 3-woods are rockets. So yeah, the 3 and the 5-wood and the Stealth 2 are still in the bag. Love those clubs. And then and I don't think much else has changed. Still have the PXG irons. Still playing PXG Sugar Daddy 2 wedges.
Would you say you which is interesting. We talked about this. You said if you had to choose between like giving up, we've talked about like not having one brand dominate too much of each part of the bag. We had this like hypothetical conversation of like right now I feel like my bag is too ping heavy. So I almost want to like I need to like get rid of the but I would rather get rid of the irons than get rid of the 3-wood and the hybrid, right? And so you said for you, if you you know your bag is very PXG heavy right now, you said you would give up the irons in a second because that's how good the wedges are.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. Those wedges, I think, and you know me, like I have.
You're very particular with wedges.
Uncommon for me to have, and I have 4 sets of them at any one time kicking around the house. But these wedges are, the Sugar Daddy 2s. Anyone gets a chance.
Which is interesting because you finally sold off your Clevelands. You've been selling off your backup wedges because that's how committed to the PXGs you are, which is interesting because you're very particular about wedges.
Yeah.
And no ball change, nothing else weird.
Still Pro V1X. I did change. I got a new bag. I got bags. One of the G4. I got one of the G4 bags.
2 of the G4 bags.
Well, no, I got one and then I returned it and got another one because I didn't like the first one I bought.
Got it. Sorry, Mr. McCutcheon. He returned it. Shout out to Dave's dad. Big fan of the pod.
Yeah. I feel like my dad finds out all about my golf.
Oh, he does.
Degeneracy.
He does. And I apologize. It's my fault. It's my fault.
And I get the random text like,
yeah, you used to be able to hide. This is my fault. I have brought this chaos into your life, so I apologize. But this is what makes our friendship fun.
I'm just gonna have John call you next time.
Okay, so then you switch bags.
Yeah,
because the G4 bag, you got this new G4 bag.
That's what So really good quality, really well made, surprisingly lightweight for the quality of the material, and actually more comfortable than the Ping to carry.
Interesting. I'm still using that Ping bag that you gave me, so I'm like 3 years into that bag now. So maybe
that's lasted forever.
I beat the crap out of that thing. Again, you forgot another club.
What club did I forget?
The Tour Edition QI10.
Oh, that's
but you ordered
on order, so we won't talk.
See, this is what I'm saying. There's a club that's in the air right now, on its way.
Yeah.
So what did you get?
And whose?
It's my fault.
But
okay, I get the email. I know you're gonna like it. TaylorMade sends an email saying they're putting out their Tour Edition versions of the 3-wood or of their woods, and I go, Dave's gonna like this because I know you like your TaylorMade woods. And you held off for a week, and then yesterday I get a text message, bag alert, with a screenshot of an order for a 6-wood.
A 6-wood, yeah. So I've been struggling. So the QI10 Tour 6-wood with a TR Blue 6S shaft. So I've been struggling with. There's a gap in the bag between the 5-wood and whatever my hybrid or my longest iron, and I'm not really happy with my hybrid right now. And yeah, there's a weird like space in the bag, like 5-wood hybrid 5-iron. I'm not really jiving. So the plan is 6-wood and then get like a more forgiving, 4-iron, like a T200 or something like that is forgiving and can launch. So we'll see how that goes. That's currently the experiment that we'll be testing.
I like it. So we're basically gonna get a full new set of QI10 woods that are coming.
We'll start with one and we'll see how it goes.
Nice. Well, I'm excited about the bag. I'm excited for the more TaylorMade coming for you. You know, I'm sneaky.
More
sneaky. I'm kind of feeling what TaylorMade's doing right now, and especially with the wedges, I'm kind of like I'm more intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm more intrigued, and they got new irons coming out soon.
I'm excited to see they have the proto irons in August. I'm excited to see what they look like.
Like that's the new. I saw the new UDI, like the P7 P770 or P790 UDI. The design looks good.
Yeah.
Like it looks
nice.
I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested. We'll see. I gotta also I want to take a look at driver again soon. Now that I'm hitting driver, I don't know. I think I want to see what. Now that I'm hitting driver as good as I am, I want to see what if I did the AI smoke. If I could beat the Rogue, the Rogue looks so good at address, and I'm hitting it well. Yeah. I'm just very curious if just seeing the ball speed jump that you got. I'd be very curious if just a new driver with that hotter face, if it's just if I could pick up a couple miles per hour, that would be very interesting.
Well, and to what you said earlier, like just make it easier. Like you don't need to hit it farther, but if you can hit it the same distance easier, even with less effort.
Right. Yeah, I could. Yeah. So. Final thing to end off. You went and saw a live event. You went to live Nashville.
I saw
you saw live in person.
Nashville at the Grove.
How was it?
It was better run than any PGA Tour event I've ever been to.
And you've been to Torrey, you've been to Torrey. You've been to some good. You've been to some good PGA Tour events.
Yeah, I've been to Napa. Been to a few. It was extremely smooth. The entire experience, from the time that you park or get dropped off in your Uber, to get shuttled to the course, to get through the gate, we had Club 54 passes, which helps. So we were in kind of like their tent area. But just even like getting your wristband for Club 54, everything about it, they have it very dialed. The food offerings, the drink offerings. It was funny, like in the tent / pavilion, Norman's just walking around, no security, just walking around shaking hands, which was kind of cool. I would not have said I did not think I would have enjoyed it as much as I did, because I think early days I was probably anti-live, but I'm beginning to see some value in what they're doing. The only negative is because there's only 54 golfers and there's a group per hole for the shotgun, you end up not watching a lot of golf. So we're camped out on the 18th green, we're watching a group come in, and then you've got 10 minutes before the next group is hitting a shot into the green. So I would say, I think one of the things Liv needs to do is they need to make their fields bigger. Because even on a PGA Tour event on a Saturday, Sunday, you've got 70 in ties in groups of 2. You have a lot more golfers to watch. 54 golfers spread over 18 holes at a shotgun. There's just a lot of downtime.
Interesting. And how was the music in terms of the experience? Did you find it distracting? Did you find it aided the experience, I guess? Because the ambiance is very different than a normal PGA Tour event.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I mean, the players seem to really enjoy it. They have their 15th hole in Nashville is what they call the party hole, where every player gets a walk-up song and the music is blaring as they hit. But it was, yeah, I thought it was well done. I didn't mind it. I don't know. It was novel and it was different, so it was great. I don't know if it would get old. If it was every week, maybe it would get old. But for the first time, we had a blast, and I thought it was great. I say I just wish there was more golf to see.
Right. And any particular players that stood out?
I mean, obviously Bryson. We saw Phil. Ian Poulter, seeing him live was great. It's interesting. You can kind of see guys that are coasting, and you can kind of see guys that care. And I don't mean to say this like, I mean, listen, the guy's a major champion, so who am I to criticize him? But like, it just looked like Dustin Johnson wasn't really giving it much of an effort, right? Like he was just out for a stroll. Versus guys that were really grinding. Like Pat Perez was out there grinding. Actually, Anthony Kim was great to see. So followed him for a bit, and that was a lot of fun.
And the team element. Did you find the team element fun in person, intriguing at all? You haven't really been like I like the team element, and I think if they figured out a way to make that team element like sell it more, I think it could be I think it's what would make the league better. I don't think they've truly figured out a way to like get people involved, but I was curious in person, were you able to follow the team element? Did that even factor in for you?
Honestly, the team part just over my head. Like I'm still following the individual golfers.
Okay.
But that's just me. The team thing doesn't do it for me.
Interesting. It didn't, Interesting. Well, I was curious when you said they had the capacity to add more players. When you said in terms of tee times and making everything work, I did find that very interesting. Because if they could expand the league, but they can't expand the league without they need better players to expand the league. They can't expand the league without attracting bigger talent. But there is potentially room for more teams, so they could potentially throw big offers at some bigger players, which is interesting.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm very curious. And you said also too, like Greg Norman's just walking around, like trying to be part of the fan experience, like thanking people
hands.
for being there. Which great. From a startup perspective is kind of commendable. Like you always any startup, right? Like if the founder's out front, shaking hands and kissing babies and trying to make sure the customers are happy, that's interesting because he gets such an interesting rap on social, right? And I think people bag on him a lot for walking around with the fans, thinking a lot of that is staged or like it's a photo op. So when you told me he's just out and around walking, hanging out, I thought that was, I was like, huh, okay. So he does kind of walk the walk on like wanting to kind of get his people engaged with the tour. And did the vibe, like did there feel like there was excitement? I think the only thing I felt was some of the live events. Now Nashville looked good in terms of fan presence. But it would say, when you flip on live versus when you flip on some other tournaments, when you look at like 18 as an example or certain holes, there's like the gallery just feels like it's like, oh my gosh. Like there's a level of like, and
this apparently was one of their highest.
So did it feel like there was a vibe with the fans? Like, did it feel like there was some stakes and it mattered? Okay.
I think so. Fans were definitely into it. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, there you go. And how are your Yankees doing to finish it off? They're better than my Blue Jays.
It's a tough stretch, but they're, they beat the Jays yesterday.
That home run
split the series 2-2.
That home run from Soto was disgusting.
The Judge home run in the first was amazing. 440 to dead straightaway center.
It's absurd how much that.
So interesting. They were saying Judge is on track right now to beat his 2022 home run record.
So does that mean we're going to go to the? We got to go to the games again? I don't know if we've talked about this in the pod before, but Dave's like diehard Yankees fan, like fully invested, and you followed the team from New York to Toronto back to New York to follow that home run race.
I was waiting. I wanted to see 60, 61,
and
62.
I saw 2 of the 3 games that they were in Toronto for.
Yeah.
And it was the 3rd game that he hit the tying home run.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you got to see it. I didn't get to see it, but I'm glad you got to see it. So does that mean so does that mean in September we're going to have to start booking our Jays Yankees tickets again?
Pack your bags. Let's go.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. We are back. The boys are back. Podcasts coming every week. So we're almost at episode 20 or 21, which makes us a top 1% podcast. globally if we get to that many episodes, which is phenomenal. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for all the DMs I got about the show and everything. It means a lot. I appreciate that, you know, we can be a little soundtrack to your day in some capacity. So appreciate it very much. The journey is very much alive, and I hope you all have a great July and happy summer golfing.
See you next week.
Peace.